Do you ever just sit down and think, you know what, with a little bit more training and if I take it a little bit more serious, I could still become a professional football player? As unrealistic as it might seem, definitely in my case, it's completely unrealistic, but sometimes when you watch a game, the thought just pops in your mind. You think, okay, I can do a way better job than this guy. I'm not gonna name names, but yeah, you guys can probably think of someone. But then you watch the Premier League, you watch an Arsenal game, and you see that a 15-year-old just made his debut in the Premier League for Arsenal. And guys, this is absolutely ridiculous. This guy is 15 years old. This is absolutely insane. This guy is born in 2007. I'm 8 years older than him and I'm only 23. This is ridiculous. But Ethan Nwaneri making his debut for Arsenal at just 15 years of age made me think, who are the youngest Premier League debutants? Where are they now? How did their careers go? And did they live up to the hype in general? So that's why in this video, I'm going to talk about the 11 youngest Premier League debutants, and we're just going to see what they did with their career, where they are now, and at what age they made their debut. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. We're starting off with Jack Wilshere, who made his debut for Arsenal when he was 16 years and 256 days old. Jack Wilshere always was a big talent, and in the Arsenal Academy, his talents were so remarkable that Arsene Wenger promoted him to the first team at only 16 years of age. The English midfielder made his debut against Blackburn, beating Cesc Fabregas' record of youngest Premier League debutant ever for Arsenal. And I still remember those games against Barcelona where he was absolutely unbelievable. And we're talking about probably one of the best sides in the entire world, because then they had Xavi, Iniesta, Messi. I'm probably forgetting a few names, but anyways, that team was absolutely unbelievable. And Jack Wilshere was literally running the midfield for Arsenal, and he was doing a great job at that. So obviously, people started to speculate that Jack Wilshere would end up at Barcelona at one point. But unfortunately, as we all know, Jack Wilshere suffered a lot of injuries, which definitely limited his game time. And after a lot of injuries, Jack Wilshere just wasn't the same player anymore. After almost 200 games, Jack Wilshere left Arsenal, and after leaving the club, he went on to play for Bournemouth, West Ham, and Aarhus GF over in Denmark. And right now, Jack Wilshere is only 30 years old, but he already retired as a professional football player. So unfortunately, Jack Wilshere did not live up to the hype. He still got to play 34 times for the England national team, and even though his career was very short, he played a lot of amazing games, like I said, in the Champions League, for England, in the Premier League as well, but obviously he did not live up to the hype. Next up is Jack Robinson, who made his debut for Liverpool at 16 years and 250 days old. When he made his debut, everything looked great for Jack Robinson, because obviously you don't make your debut for Liverpool if you're not talented. But unfortunately, the player only made 11 appearances for Liverpool, and the lack of game time caused his career to take a dip. So obviously, him not playing made him realize that he had to leave Liverpool. So after leaving the club, he joined clubs like Wolves, Queen's Park Rangers, Nottingham Forest, Blackpool and Huddersfield, before permanently joining Sheffield United, where he's still to this day. So at 29 years of age, it's pretty easy to say that he didn't really live up to the hype, but he still carved out a pretty decent career for himself, playing almost 200 times in the championship. And before we move on to the next player, be sure to like the video and subscribe if you're new to the channel as well. Next up is Reece, who made his debut for West Ham when he was only 16 years and 236 days old. It already seems ages ago that Reece made his debut for West Ham, which is pretty crazy because he's still 23 years old, but he already made his debut 7 years ago. And I'm not gonna lie, with Reece, the hype was real. He signed his first professional contract at the age of 16, and shortly after, he made his debut for the club. Because in August 2015, he made his debut against Arsenal, and I still remember him playing ridiculously well against Mesut Özil at the time. And West Ham also went on to win that game 2-0. However, Reece didn't really progress at West Ham, so he got loaned out several times to Reading and other clubs in Germany. But after a few years that weren't so great for Reece, he finally seemed to have found a place where he's actually valued and is playing pretty well. Because in 2019, he signed on a permanent for Augsburg, and like I said, things have been on the up for Reece, who's actually doing really well over in Germany. And like I said, this guy's only 23 years old, so time will tell if Reece will live up to the hype. For the next player, we're going way back in time, because we have a player that made his Premier League debut for Coventry. Wow, that really is a long time ago that they were in the Premier League. But the youngest Premier League debutant ever for Coventry was only 16 years and 198 days old. And the player I'm talking about obviously is Gary McSheffrey. Well, I'm saying obviously, but I don't really think that this one is that obvious actually. At 16 years of age, the forward made his Premier League debut against Aston Villa, becoming the club's youngest ever Premier League debutant. McSheffrey was a pretty good forward as he scored 53 goals for the club. Eventually, he left the club for Birmingham, and later on he went to play for a few other clubs in England. He retired in 2020 and is currently working as a manager for Doncaster. Next up is Hepburn Murphy, who made his debut for Aston Villa at the age of 16 years and 198 days old. And I'm not gonna lie guys, I never heard of this guy ever in my entire life. He didn't make his debut that long ago, but this one completely slipped my mind. But anyways, we're still going to talk about him. 8 years ago, he made his debut for Aston Villa, replacing Christian Benteke in a 4-0 win over Sunderland. After that, he had 3 underwhelming loan spells at Cambridge, Tranmere and Derby County before the club released him because he was not good enough. Currently, at 24 years of age, the attacker is playing for Swindon Town. And I don't know, there's still time for this guy to make it to the Premier League, but will it happen? Like I said, I don't know anything about this guy, so I'm not the person to tell you, but let's move on to the next player. Next up is Jose Baxter. I don't think I'm supposed to say it like that since this guy is English, but Josie Baxter was Everton's youngest debutant at the age of 16 years and 191 days old. And just like many other players in this list, Baxter's career just crumbled after making his debut. His contract ran out in 2012, and after that he joined clubs like Oldham Athletic, Sheffield United, Plymouth, a club in America as well, before retiring in 2021. And right now he's 30 years of age, already retired, so it's pretty clear that this guy did not live up to the hype. Next up is Aaron Lennon, who made his debut for Leeds at 16 years and 129 days old. And contrary to other players in this list, he actually had a pretty decent career. In August 2003, Lennon made his debut against Tottenham Hotspur as he came on as a sub, setting the record for being the club's youngest ever player. The player impressed so much for Leeds that Spurs actually ended up signing him as well. He had a few great years with the club before finally signing for Everton, but later on in his career he joined Burnley and Kayserispor over in Turkey. And right now, at the age of 35, he's without a club, but he still isn't officially retired yet. But Lennon can definitely look back at a great career as he played for good Premier League clubs, and he also played 21 times for the England national team. Next up is Isaiah Brown, who made his debut for West Brom at the age of 16 years and 117 days. And I'm straight up gonna say it, Brown had a flop career as well. The only record he could set was becoming West Brom's youngest ever debutant, which happened in his only game for the club as well. For some reason, Chelsea saw something special in this guy, eventually signing him, but he failed to amaze Jose Mourinho. And Isaiah unfortunately became the victim of the hype that was surrounding him. So he was eventually loaned out and not much happened in Brown's career after that. After several loan moves, he's currently without a club at the age of 25. Next up is Matthew Briggs, who made his debut for Fulham at the age of 16 years and 68 days. Briggs was a spectacular player whose career took off when he made his debut for Fulham in the Premier League. But unfortunately, he didn't really get a lot of playing time, so he moved around a lot of clubs. And by saying a lot of clubs, I really mean a lot of clubs, because at the age of 31, he played for over 13 clubs. And unfortunately for him, he never really could make a mark, playing his most games for Colchester United. And another player who became the youngest ever debutant for Fulham is Harvey Elliott, because in the 18-19 season, he made his debut at the age of 16 years and 30 days. And after only a year playing for Fulham, Liverpool came knocking and they signed the player. And this turned out to be a great move, both for the player and the club, because Elliott is currently a first-team player for Liverpool, having played already 6 times in the Premier League this season, and he also recently scored his first goal in a 9-0 thumping of Bournemouth. And Elliott is still only 19 years of age, so definitely the sky is the limit for this player. And personally, if I can do a prediction, I think that Harvey Elliott will definitely live up to the hype. And the youngest ever Premier League debutant is Nwaneri for Arsenal. On the 18th of September, this guy made history, becoming the youngest ever Premier League debutant at the age of 15 years and 181 days old. And I mean, that's basically everything we can say, because this is where the story starts. We obviously don't know what he's going to do in the rest of his career, because he literally made his debut only 2 days ago. So there's not much to say, but making your debut at the age of 15 years is pretty ridiculous and spectacular. So definitely this guy must be a special talent, right? So guys, that's the video done. Let me know in the comments down below if you think that Nwaneri will actually live up to the hype. As always, be sure to like, share and subscribe. Click my videos on the end screen right now, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.